My name is Ryan, and I'm wanting to start a platform to spread a message of, morality throughout the world. Whenever I was a teenager, I'd come up with this name for myself and a friend group, essentially, that I called Morality Corp. And there was some inherent kind of irony to the name, in that, a corporation isn't really inherently moral, and yet it would be a corporation that was centered around the ideas of morality. So that was my teenage angst, idea of this is what I would want to name our group, as Morality Core. Is not to mention there's a double meaning of core can obviously mean core, and so by virtue of that, you have Morality Core, the core of our moral consciousness. And the reason why I think it's important and why I want to start something like this is because of how I view everything in the world personally through a very moralistic lens, and how things can be just wrong, just wrong. I understand a lot of the reasons why things happen, or I know why things happen and why we do the things we do, but I still don't think that we should be allowing ourselves to fall into these pits of just accepting these things that should be seen as, for the most part, immoral. And I think it's important that I come across the people as genuine and honest. And I come to you from my garage, and I have a microphone on that I bought explicitly for this purpose. I purchased a gimbal that would work with an old smartphone of mine, instead of buying one of those vlogger cameras that has a really tiny camera that can kind of gimbal around and follow you, because it would be cheaper. And I personally tend to be the most frugal I can be with my money. That's why I purchased the gimbal. I purchased one of the cheapest mics I could get that was, I think, effective based on my research. I'm wearing what I'm wearing because I think this is the most genuine means to get across to you the type of person I am. This is what I would wear on any day that I wasn't working. On an average day when I'm just at home, this is what I'd wear: is a tank top and some shorts, or some house pants, whatever the case may be, which you can probably barely see. These are fisherman's pants. The only pair I have. I like them. They're nice and airy. But I have my watch here to remind myself that it's a Fitbit, and I didn't want people to see me wearing a Fitbit and go oh, he's bought off. He's bought off by Google or whoever the fuck makes Fitbits at this point. And in that same sort of way, I've taken so many efforts to try to make this as genuine as possible, in the same sort of way that I've thought so deeply, as far as I think people know when they're being sold to. I think people know when they feel like somebody is just trying to get one over on them, or someone's trying to make a quick buck. And I'm trying my damnedest to make it appear as if I am not one of those people. I'm trying to appear as genuine as I possibly can. I'm trying to do this in as low grade as a way as I can, whilst also feeling proud of what I'm making. I want my audio to sound good. That's why I bought the microphone. I wanted to be able to record wherever I was in the world, or even if I'm just driving around in the car and I had an idea and I start ranting about something, I wanted to be able to record that. And that's why I bought the microphone. I bought the gimbal in the same way, so I wouldn't have to focus on recording myself. I could just focus on what I had to say, because that's the more important thing. The more important thing is the message. And the message, to me, is getting to the moral core of our societies, the moral core of why we do the things we do, why we accept certain things that happen in our societies, why we become okay with and kind of degrade ourselves to a certain extent, as far as just why do we accept mediocre behavior as time goes on. And I think we all just become numb to it, that I really just want to sit down and just talk through a bunch of different subjects. and really get down to the core of them and really get down to why we allow things to happen the way that we do, why we allow ourselves to become corrupted by the world and our societies, and understanding that at the end of the day, we, humanity, people, choose the world that we live in. We choose the societies that we ultimately live in. And so if we're unhappy with it, it's on us to make that better. It's on us to choose and try and strive to make a better world. And that if we're unhappy with the way that things are, that it's our responsibility to do better. And yeah, just talking through a wide gamut of different subject matters, talking through everything I possibly can. Because for me personally, I look at everything as, what is the moral implication of this? You know, I look at waste from a moral concept. Like I look at politics from a moral concept. Like I look at like video games, and I look at like just everything. Like I like cars. Like none of that's going to make any sense right now, but in the future there will presumably be videos that will kind of expand on each of those concepts. That just ultimately, I'm very impassioned about wanting people to be able to see genuinely, you know, why we do the things that we do, whilst also understanding that like I'm not perfect and nobody's perfect, and that there's a lot of different viewpoints of things, and that morality is complicated. There's never just one solution. There's never just one reason for why we do the things that we do. Like, there's so many different parts that make up an individual that can cause them to make the decisions that they make. And we have to be understanding of that. We have to understand that people are going to make mistakes. And we have to be able to forgive them for that. And we have to be able to, again, come back to a certain moral core and understand that nobody is perfect, and to give people second chances. And so, anyways, over the course of several videos that I will continue to make for this platform, my goal is to talk about the moral core of a variety of different issues. Some of them may be inherently political. I'm going to try to steer away from that. I don't want to talk about politics. I think that to a certain degree, politics alongside, you know, like I was saying earlier, like people wanting to make a quick buck, like I think there's just so many things on the internet right now that are trying to capitalize on people's frustrations and trying to capitalize on the wrong things, again, the immoral things, as opposed to just trying to talk to people from a genuine viewpoint, trying to talk to people in the most honest way possible, leading them to trust me, hopefully. Trust me that like what I'm saying is not, you know, some sort of, I'm not trying to get you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm trying to convince people of something. Like, I can't say that that's not true, but what I would be trying to convince people of is that we can do better collectively. All of us can do better to live in a happier, more comfortable, more safe world where we can all come together collectively and just be happy. Kind of strive towards like the, you know, imperfect utopia that ultimately I think we can all live in. Like, I know it's really fucking haughty and very self-centered to probably think, narcissistic to probably think like, oh, you're going to bring about utopia, huh? And it's like, I don't think it's just me. Like, that's the thing. I think there just needs to be people in the world who are spreading a message that's different than the messages that are getting spread presently. Like, you listen to a lot of podcasts, you listen to a lot of shows, you listen to a lot of these different things, and all of them just happen to talk about, like, you know, why someone else is doing something wrong, whilst not really getting down to, like, you know, the reasons why we do what we do. And I want to talk about that stuff. I want to talk about why do we do the things that we do, and really break it down and really try to understand both sides of a lot of issues, just so that there's, you know, I think that way there can be a discussion, because I don't expect to be right. I don't expect to be inherently trusted. I expect, because like obviously I have my own biases. I have my own political views, and that's going to come across in these. But I want to be able to have discussions with people. I want people to hear that, and I want people to tell me that they think I'm wrong, so we can talk about that. Because I want their, like, I don't want it to just seem like I'm just saying stuff and it's like I just think I'm inherently right about everything, because of course that's not true. Of course there's going to be viewpoints that I don't have, and there's going to be things that I just can't see personally as, you know, the person that I am, that there's going to be a lot of perspectives that I'm not getting. And again, that's like trying to bring that into this. It's like trying to get all those perspectives, trying to bring all the perspectives into the moral compass of people, and just talk about our moral compass and what we think is right, what we think is wrong, and come to some sort of agreement amongst individuals that we all, for the most part, tend to agree on a lot of the same basic principles. And so, yeah, that's where we'll be going. Hopefully you'll be able to join me, and I hope to see you again soon.